the greatest superhero movie of all time. Now, this is a subject that will be debated until the end of time. Some people will say it is movies like Infinity War, Captain America Civil War, The Dark Knight, Spider-Man 2. But today, we are going to get to the bottom of it. Because today, we're talking about the greatest superhero movie ever. But before we get into anything, guys, please, for me, like this video, subscribe to the page, hit that noti bell. Alright, greatest superhero movie ever. So I do want to say I am not just considering live action movies. Obviously, we've had some great ones. And just because it doesn't get title of best of the best, that does not mean they are not movies that I enjoy thoroughly. The Dark Knight is very, very close. Spider-Man 2, very close. However, for me, the perfect superhero movie is actually one that we got in animation. I think some of the best superhero movies ever are animated. I think DC has found a way, or at least they used to find a way, to tell the most perfect stories in animation. And that's just from a story perspective down to voice acting. Everything about the characters in the movie was perfect. So, without further ado, my opinion of what the perfect superhero movie is none other than Batman, Mask of the Phantasm. And as some of you may know, I have mentioned that movie before as one of, if not the best, Batman movies we've ever gotten. Obviously, it's Kevin Conroy, so it's going to get points right there. He is Batman. I don't know about any of you, but anytime I would pick up a comic book, read a comic book, or think of Batman, his voice was the one that I heard. He really did define the character, both for Bruce Wayne and for Batman. He even did those little voice inflections where he would change his voice to determine, hey, I'm Batman right now, or hey, this is Bruce Wayne and this is what he's going to sound like. And I think that really helped encourage what Christian Bale did, which again, that was kind of a big nuanced thing when that first happened, Batman Begins. So all that being said, let me just get into exactly why I feel this movie is the best superhero movie we have ever gotten. And this is kind of the measuring stick that I use anytime I see a movie for superheroes, whether it's live action, animation, DC, or Marvel, because I really feel like this movie nailed every single aspect that you need to in a superhero. So this movie kind of starts out where we get this figure in the Phantasm starting to kill mob bosses. And as the movie progresses, it does something where it has you in present day dealing with the Phantasm, but also it takes you back in time 10 years to when Batman first started. And that's where we get introduced to Andrea Beaumont. Now, this is Batman's love interest, one of his many love interests over the years, and this is a really defining moment for Batman. I feel like if things had gone differently, he may very well have stopped being Batman and his story would have ended. Now, obviously, that couldn't happen. It's pretty much destined that Batman is not going to get that happy ending. I know it's very, very rare. That being said, the way they handle it and kind of progress through this movie where it's a mystery as to who the Phantasm is, and it's really hinted at, and you really are led to believe that it's Andrea Beaumont's father. Which really is justified because it's kind of implied what the mob bosses do, kind of forcing him and his daughter out of Gotham. Different money laundering things happened, and they're threatening his life and threatening his daughter Andrea's life. And this all happens when Bruce Wayne proposes to her, and she says yes. And then she finds out that, wait, we have to just leave Gotham and leave this person I love behind. And then you see the tragedy of Bruce Wayne finding that out, discovering that she ends up saying no to his proposal, and he's left with no explanation. He has no idea what happened. And then you get that iconic moment of him first putting on the mask and of Alfred being afraid almost and kind of taking that moment where he says, oh my, or oh dear, something like that, where he really feels the presence of Batman there in that cave. And that's one of the best moments in the movie, one of many. And another cool thing about this movie is it incorporates the Joker. Now, I mentioned that the mob bosses who want Andrea's father dead or want that money from him One of them is actually the Joker before he becomes the Joker. And that's something that's unraveled throughout the movie. And then we see the Joker in present day now kind of interacting with these mob bosses. And you see the fear that he imposes on them. He used to be a low level hitman, but now he's someone that these high level mob bosses, people who are worth millions and billions of dollars, now they are intimidated by him. So you see that dynamic switch, and he ends up taking out one of the mob bosses, and he uses him as bait. So when the Phantasm goes there to take out that mob boss, the Joker's there on camera and discovers, hey, I knew it wasn't Batman. Everyone was saying, oh, this must be Batman, but I knew it wasn't because I know Bat. That moment is beautiful. And again, he knows who it is. He even says, he mentions her being a woman, instead of everyone up until that point in the audience is led to believe, hey, this is Andrea's father. Whereas now we're introduced to the idea of, wait, no, it might be someone else. The Joker is now saying it's someone else entirely. And the fact that it keeps up that mystery up until pretty much the end, and even Batman is left trying to discover why. And while all this is happening, Batman's being blamed for all of it. Everyone is now turning on Batman. The police and Harvey Bullock, they're going after Batman. They try to kill him at one point, and guess who comes to his rescue? Andrea Beaumont. And then Batman's left wondering why she's back, how she's back, and then he starts to investigate her a little bit, but then he also remembers what she meant to him. He remembers what this woman did to his heart, both breaking it and also healing it. At one point, he went to his parents' grave and he said, I don't want to do this anymore. I didn't plan on being happy. Just give me a sign. And then she comes up and it's raining and it's just such a beautiful scene. Again, I feel like if it was in live action, it would be praised so much more. But just because it's an animation, that doesn't mean that it didn't make the audience feel the emotion, the pain in Batman's voice, and him just acknowledging that this person is now healing me. I don't feel the pain as much from my parents. And those are all thoughts that are going through his head, now seeing her again return. And again, this is him after being Batman for, it's about 10 years since she's been gone. And then you get to the ending scenes where she goes after the Joker, and the Joker knows it's her, and then he shoots her with acid and makes her take her cloak and stuff off. So then it's revealed to the audience that it is indeed Andrea Beaumont. And then we get one of the best scenes ever with him going after the big thing of bologna and just start hitting her instead of grabbing the knife. That was hilarious. One of the best scenes in any superhero movie ever. It was great. Still to this day, I laugh every time I watch it. But yeah, and then Batman shows up, finds out it's Andrea. He actually saves her from the Joker because the Joker's about to kill her. He uses a giant fan and he is about to suck her up, and it's going to tear her to shreds. She's going to die and Batman destroys it, and Batman saves her. And then she leaves. And then you get an iconic Batman versus the Joker fight. And they have this cool duel around this mini city, and the Joker bleeds, Batman bleeds. It's a pretty violent fight considering it's animated, and for the time when it was made, I think it was either 1999 or 2001. For them to put that much, I don't want to say gore because it wasn't a ton, but still what they did put in there in comparison to like Batman Beyond, Return of the Joker, they barely showed any blood in that movie. Whereas this one, it's a lot more violent. And obviously you had the mob bosses getting killed the entire movie. And then they finish their duel. The Joker's ready to give up. And then Andrea Beaumont comes back in. And she is going to kill the Joker. Batman's hurt. The Joker's hurt. And the Joker even says, I surrendered already. Tell her, Batman. But she doesn't want to surrender. And she says why she's going to kill him, why she did all of this. And Batman understands. But he pleads with her not to do it. Because he knows that would ruin her life, what's left of it, but it would also ruin any hope he has to be with her. Because by that point, he is more Batman than Bruce Wayne. So if she were to do that, he couldn't support her. He'd have to go after her. and he pleads with her, he begs with her. You can see it on his face, you can hear it in his voice, and that's why I say Kevin Conroy always does amazing, but in this movie in particular, he did a spectacular job. Just the utter emotion that comes from him in this movie and in that moment. You can feel the pain in his voice, and even the way they animate it, you can see. And then the explosions are going off, and the Joker and Andrea vanish. And then Batman goes through an explosion, and you see him kind of go down the sewer thing, and then he gets spit out, and then he rises up and just is looking over that little mini city that they were just in, going up in flames. And then he's in the Batcave, all sad and kind of down in the dumps because the person he was in love with is gone. He wanted to save her and he couldn't. And then that's when we get one of, if not the greatest scenes ever with Alfred. He comes up to Bruce and he comforts him and he says, "There's nothing you could have done to save her. She chose her path long ago." And then he shares with him that one of his greatest fears was that Bruce would go down that dark path, wrestling with monsters every single night. It terrified Alfred, but somehow Bruce had the strength to stay above that, to rise above. And he said, "But Andrea, she fell into that long ago, and no one, not even you, could save her." And just that moment and the emotion between them. And then you look off in the distance and you see something shine. Batman runs over to it, and it's a locket from Andrea, a picture of both of them. So he knows she's alive. And the ending scene is some guy coming up to a woman and asking if she's alone. And you see it's Andrea. She says, "I am alone. I'm always alone." And that's how the movie ends. It is absolutely insane. Again, it's not a happy ending. Batman rarely gets that happy ending. He may have a moment here and there during parts of a movie, but for a movie to truly end happy for Batman, it does not happen, which is a shame, but that is a big part of the character of Batman is tragedy, and this movie exemplifies that and personifies that to a T. Every character is done justice in this movie, and I can honestly say, unlike other movies, even ones I enjoy, there is not a single scene in this movie that isn't meant to be there, and there is nothing at all I would change. There's nothing I would add. But what do all of you think? What is your favorite comic book movie? And what do you think the best comic book movie of all time is? Let me know in the comments down below. While you guys are down there, like this video, subscribe to the page, click that noti bell. And until next time, I will see all of you members of the Bat family in the next video. Goodbye.